I'm here to talk about the rise of obesity in America and why and where it's an issue and a way to potentially solve it. There are obvious health risks in unhealthy eating, being overweight or obese. Obesity isn't necessarily caused by overeating, but eating too much of the wrong food. People with these eating habits are at a higher risk for type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, heart and kidney disease, and having heart attacks or strokes. Those can all potentially result in death. And ever since the early 70s, obesity rates have been rising in America, with more junk food and candy being produced and more fast food chains being created. It's been more and more common to eat those things or go to those places. Within the last 50 years, obesity rates in adults has nearly quadrupled, and obesity rates in children has more than tripled. What's partially to blame is advertising, because as fast food companies began making more advertisements, posters, and promotions, the faster and easier new customers were drawn in. Advertising is essential to getting the customers that fast food companies want. Just like cigarette companies, they want lifelong customers to make the most money they can. Fast food companies are experts in exploiting and taking advantage of the relationship between parents and their influence on children, and that's widely a large cause of obesity being so high, like recently. Fast food advertisements are also specifically advertised towards people living in certain communities or living certain lifestyles. 86% of commercial spending on African American targeted television was fast food advertisements or junk food, and that was 82% of spending on Hispanic targeted television. Those plus the extremely high prices or low prices contribute widely to this epidemic. 27% of the Hispanic and African American communities live in poverty. That's 3 times the amount of white people living in similar conditions. Because of the discrimination towards minorities in America, many of them live in low-income neighborhoods. In these neighborhoods and towns, grocery stores have a hard time selling and affording to continue being there because not many people can afford to buy the products, and small businesses have struggled because they can't get enough customers or money to make a profit. Leaving fast food, and between the advertising, the low prices, and the abundance of stores, they can easily take advantage of people with no other choice. Gardening, a public garden in any neighborhood is progress, but by putting them where people really need them, can potentially save hundreds in someone's medical bills and more importantly, add up to 20 years to someone's life. Of course, gardening can't solve obesity everywhere in America, but the fraction of people that will get something out of it can teach and support others, and that can at least bring a community together and possibly change someone's life. Woo, sites did it, whoa!